How many drinks does it take to put you in that tropical island mood?
In this video, I'm gonna show you my top 10 favorite jazz soundtracks on vinyl, so buckle up because there are some bangers on this list. There is one record on this list that I think is comparable to a tone poet in its mastering. It is just unbelievably good. Hey, what's up? I'm Jason, and this channel is for vinyl lovers who want to find new vinyl to listen to, purchase, or avoid. I focus on vinyl, but everyone is welcome. Let's jump right in. So even if you think you're not into soundtracks, you might be surprised by this list. Definitely give these records a sample on your favorite streaming service and decide whether you want to pull the trigger on a vinyl copy for your collection. All right, let's start off strong with the great Sonny Rollins and the soundtrack for the Paramount film Alfie. The soundtrack was released in 1966 and features the great Sonny Rollins on tenor. This entire score was composed by Rollins and arranged and conducted by Oliver Nelson. This isn't just a great jazz soundtrack, it's a phenomenal jazz album with a wide variety of tempos and swinging, just an absolute treat. This album actually reached number 17 on the R&B Billboard chart when it came out. And in the UK, this album was released on the HMV label and on the Impulse label in the US. This is a US pressing from 1979 and has an MCA label because MCA acquired Impulse from ABC, Paramount back in 1979. Record labels tend to have very complicated histories, but this is a fantastic album featuring not only the incredible Sonny Rollins on sax, but it also features Kenny Burrell on guitar, J.J. Johnson on trombone, and a full cast of amazing musicians. But even if you just get this record for Sonny Rollins, you will be very, very happy. This is a must-have for jazz fans. All right, next up is the Elmer Bernstein composed and conducted Sweet Smell of Success. This 1957 film stars Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis and features an awesome jazzy film score. The soundtrack was actually released as two separate albums, the one I'm holding in my hand, and another which features jazz themes performed and recorded by the Chico Hamilton Quintet. This is exactly what you want from a late 50s jazz film score. It's dramatic, it's moody, and it features some great compositions and playing. It was released on the Decca label and includes this amazing cover depicting Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis. I just love it. Highly recommended. There's gonna be a lot of big jazz names on this list, and this is probably the biggest of jazz names. Here we have Duke Ellington supplying the music for Otto Preminger's 1959 film, Anatomy of a Murder. This soundtrack is every bit Ellington. It features his classic composing style and piano playing. It's a really fun record to listen to. This thing won 3 Grammy Awards the year it came out. This record was released on Columbia, on the 6i label, and fun fact, Anatomy of a Murder, which stars Jimmy Stewart, also features Duke Ellington as a character named Pie-Eye, so watch for that. Here's another fantastic Elmer Bernstein score, and it's for another Otto Preminger film. This time, it's The Man with the Golden Arms, starring Frank Sinatra in the lead role. This record was released in 1956 and is every bit as good as Sweet Smell of Success that showed up as number 2 on this list. And like Sweet Smell of Success, this one's also issued on Decca. The music on this record is dramatic and really evokes the feel of the film. If you've seen this movie, you'll know what I mean. This is great music and highly recommended. Okay, here comes another huge name in jazz history. Here we got Dizzy Gillespie, whose quintet performs the original score for a film called The Cool World. The soundtrack for this film was composed and arranged by another great jazz musician, in my opinion, pianist Mal Waldron. Mal Waldron, who you might know from playing in Eric Dolphy's band. Waldron, however, does not perform on the album, but piano duties were left to Kenny Barron, who does a phenomenal job. The arrangements on this record are really top-notch. And of course, Dizzy's playing is a treat and a highlight. This is another record that is just a great jazz album. It was released on the Philips label in 1964. Later reissues were handled by Verve. The Cool World with Dizzy Gillespie's quintet, another must-have for jazz fans. Okay, we're about halfway through and I'm saving two of my favorite records for last, so hang in there. Also, if you like this kind of thing, consider subscribing. I release videos 2 or 3 times a week where I review records, put together fun lists like this one, and just talk all things vinyl. All right, so next up is another phenomenal dramatic score. Here's Johnny Mandel's jazz score for the 1958 film I Want to Live, released by United Artists, and the film earned the lead Susan Hayward the Oscar Award for her amazing work. This is a dark film with a dark soundtrack. Again, this film has 2 soundtracks as well. That can make it a little bit confusing. There's this one, and then there's another featuring jazz themes performed by Gary Mulligan's Jazz Combo. Mandel was nominated for the Grammy the year this one came out, and it has cookin' tunes on it. Notable musicians are Gary Mulligan on baritone sax and Shelly Manne on drums. Released on the United Artists label, this is a great record that comes highly recommended. All right, so check this out. This is the theme music for the James Dean story featuring Chet Baker and Bud Shank. Lindsay Planer of AllMusic pans this record, but I strongly disagree. They call the record a washout because the music is dated and limiting, but you have to take this record for what it is, not for what it isn't. This is cool bop, as I like to call it, and probably the most sentimental record on this list, but that doesn't make it a bad record in my opinion. There are a few faster tempo tunes on this, but I mean, this is Chet Baker. I do agree with them that the highlight is probably Let Me Be Loved, which features a nice Baker vocal. The soundtrack was originally released in 1956, and this is a 2017 reissue on a label called Wax Love, which I try to avoid any labels with the word wax in the name, but this one has favorable Discogs reviews and it actually sounds fantastic. My copy has no problems. This record is also available on the major streaming services, so check it out and decide for yourself before pulling the trigger. Ooh. From the 1956 juvenile delinquents themed film Crime in the Streets comes Franz Waxman and his orchestra. Released on Decca, I became aware of this one from the inner sleeve in Sweet Smell of Success, which appeared earlier in this video. You know how some of the sleeves have ads for other records in the series? Well, this was one of them, and so I decided to give it a shot, and I am so glad that I did. This is great mid-50s juvenile delinquent music. It has a wide variety of tempos and instrumentation with off-key piano and just overall great compositions. Highly recommended, Crime in the Streets. Man, are we already on number 9? Okay, I said I was saving 2 bangers for last. How about some Herbie Hancock and the original score for Blow Up? Hancock composed and performs on these fantastic tunes. Blow Up was released in 1966 on the MGM label and features an amazing ensemble of musicians including Hancock, Freddie Hubbard, Phil Woods, Joe Henderson, Jimmy Smith, and Ron Carter. And if that's not enough, as a bonus you get 1 track from the Yardbirds that they actually perform in the film. That is a real highlight. The tune is called Stroll On and features the Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page version of the Yardbirds. The song itself is worth the price of admission in my opinion. This is the music on vinyl pressing and it sounds fantastic. Even if you don't watch the whole movie, definitely seek out the Yardbirds clip in Blow Up on YouTube. It's a real treat. You know what? Here, let me give you a little taste of it. Alright, so I still haven't talked about the record you could easily mistake for a Tone Poet release. The award goes to... Oh wait, you know what? Don't kill me for this. I gotta keep going after this. There's just too many for a list of 10. Let's do 13, okay? Let's do a proper baker's dozen, and then I'll get you out of here. But first, here is the Hustler soundtrack with music by Kenyon Hopkins. First of all, The Hustler, released in 1961 for 20th Century Fox, is a gem of a film. It stars Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason as Minnesota Fats, and the soundtrack does not disappoint. The thing about it is that it's not only filled with great early 60s jazz tunes, it is mastered and reproduced impeccably on this Cap Records label. which I had never heard of until I bought this record. I could listen to this all day, every day. In my opinion, it's an underrated gem, packed with upbeat and downbeat jazz tunes. I can't recommend it enough. And if you get this original release, I can't imagine you would be disappointed. It's so good. All right, so quickly, 3 bonus records just for fun. First up, the 1965 soundtrack to the film The Pawnbroker, composed, arranged, and conducted by Quincy Jones. This was issued on the Mercury label and is a really great score. It could easily have made it into the top 10 on this list. Imagine if Streetcar Named Desire was composed by Quincy Jones. I think you'd get something close to this. It features the incredible talents of Freddie Hubbard, J.J. Johnson, Elvin Jones, and Oliver Nelson, and even includes Sarah Vaughan's vocals on the final track. This is a really great record. All right, just 2 more quickly, hang in there. Remember the intro to this video that looks like the CBS special presentation animation? It has a little percussion and horn thing like this. Well, after some obsessive deep diving on my part, I found out that that little clip, which I hope made your heart jump a little bit with nostalgia, that clip comes from a song on this soundtrack. Yes, the Hawaii FiveO soundtrack, which was a new show on CBS when they made that animation. It's composed and performed by Mort Stevens and his orchestra. Mort Stevens won 2 Emmys for his work on Hawaii FiveO and produced soundtracks for a ton of other films. I don't know, maybe this seems cheesy. I would have thought it was cheesy too before I started down this rabbit hole, but this is actually really, really good. And last, really the last one this time, this is the film score for the 1945 film Anchors Aweigh, starring Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly. It's a fun film and includes the singing talents of Sinatra and Gene Kelly, which is worth the price of admission in my book. This one includes some dialogue from the movie, which isn't for everyone, but if you don't mind that and you just want to hear some classic Sinatra and Gene Kelly, check this one out. It's really fun. This video could easily have included another 10 or even 20 albums, but rather than steal your thunder, let me know in the comments section which jazz soundtracks you would have included. The Spins vinyl community is now over 600 strong. And if you're a subscriber, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy all of the content I have planned for this channel. And if you're not a subscriber yet, there's really no excuse. There's still time. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you next time.